Well, this is round 2 for today. I started doing this video about scrapping a Dell XPS computer, and I got about halfway through it and managed to knock over the video camera and a cup of hot chocolate, and in general made a colossal mess, so I have to redo the video. In the meantime, if you look at my video shorts, I had to post about the kit of fire detector that I couldn't kill. It's underwater right now. I have it in the bathroom sink. I spilled hot chocolate on it, it started going off, and it won't stop. So it is now in my bathroom sink, underwater, and still blaring. I had to do something because it was killing my eardrums. It was a sealed unit, so I couldn't even get the battery out of it. But boy, try to kill this thing. That could be a good problem down the road. I had it out because I was going to replace it. I do try to do them twice a year, once in January and then 6 months later. So anyway, that was a really funny thing. It was funny. I mean, you know, what are you gonna do, laugh or cry? However, it did interfere a bit with my video, so I'm gonna have to try to recreate part of this. This to me looked like a fairly new computer, and it says it has an iCore 7 in it. For those of you who follow Board Sort, you know that they have a test and buy program on some models of iCore chips. But we'll see when I get to the bottom here. Okay, so I've already clipped the wires off the power supply. I've already taken out the 4 screws back here, and we'll work on getting the power supply out momentarily. This one has 2 push down buttons, and boy, trying to get them both down at one time to get this thing out is a bit of a challenge. So I am going to leave that for after. 90% of the time I get this out of the way first, just because it does get in the way. But today it really won't. I've gotten the wires out of the way. I've already taken out the wires attached to the CD-ROM board and etc. So I've already taken the front cover off the computer. I've unscrewed this, and now I have my CD-ROM drive, my DVD, CD-ROM, whatever it's going to be. I will take this apart and I will get board out of it that looks something like this. Board Sort will buy these. They're very high in gold pin recovery, so those are worth keeping. The price of scrap metal is really, really bad right now. Most of you who are scrappers know that already. So I used to just throw these into shred, but now with the more difficult process of trying to find any kind of e-scrap, I've got to really maximize my value where I can. I don't really do this full time, but I have 3 or 4 school districts who contact me because they do know I dispose of the equipment properly. I get rid of the boards, I get rid of the hard drives, I get rid of anything that potentially could compromise personal information. I actually will take apart the hard drives and destroy them. Since I'm here, I may as well go ahead and do this. Now, I do keep a bucket for my screws. They get all over the house. They're going to get in your driveway. They're going to get everywhere. So do yourself a favor and keep them in a bucket that you can put a top on later on, and bring it to your yard that way. They get everywhere. And if you're like me and you're a kitchen table scrapper, well, you don't want to let garbage all over your house, right? So It's warmer today. It's 40 degrees. We have been in the absolute most frigid deep freeze I can remember in recent years. I'm in Connecticut, in Fairfield County, and boy, it's been cold. But I did manage to get out a bit today. I don't like cold weather. Boy, that's a disappointment. Ay, ay, ay. Oh well. I really far prefer when they look like this. But if they're going to buy it, I'll take it. What I really go after is the piece of brass that's here. Sometimes it's stainless, but this is probably brass. And we'll get that out of there real quick. I'll scratch it before I toss it into the brass bucket, just to make sure it's brass and not stainless. That's what happens if you make a mistake sorting this stuff. They go through your brass and you got a piece of stainless. It doesn't matter. They're going to downgrade your entire load to stainless, and that's not cool. Okay, there's a motor here, there's a motor here. I don't bother with those, some people do. This I will put into shred. Most of my shred these days, I put everything into the computer and I leave it on the curb. There's a lot of guys around here who scrap for a living, and it's been rough for them. I feel sorry for them. A couple of them, they're older, they're disabled, and you know, I'd rather just put it out there and give them a hand. It's not much. It's paying like $40 a ton right now, if even that, for light iron, and even prepared steel is way down. Aluminum is paying well, copper's paying well, brass is paying well. And you can get some of that from the computers. Okay. This is going to be a little bit of a pain in the neck to get out. There's actually two buttons here. 1, 2. Most of the time there's usually just one in the center. So this is going to be a real pain in the keister to get out. And I don't want to waste the time on camera doing that. Okay. Saving the best for last here, you know. I'm dying to see if there's actually an iCore 7 chip under here. Or an i7 chip, I should say. You'll want to clean all this off. This will be a nice piece of clean aluminum. This is not a copper aluminum heat sink. They're pretty easy to clip. You can do one or two things. You can set this with the screws hanging off an edge of a workbench or something, and you can hit them with a hammer and pop them out that way. I tend to like to get it all done at one shot. Just break the clip. Saves me trips up and down the stairs, and the basement is cold. I don't like cold. But my family's here in Connecticut, and you know, it's only a couple of months a year. I can just stay inside in front of the fireplace and scrap computers. Okay, so those are out. They can go in here. It's all shred. Again, not, to me, not worth saving anymore. I don't have the room to stack up 1,000 pounds of computers. To me, that's just a mess to deal with, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather just take what's inside the computers and get paid for that. And like I said, I do leave the shells out on the curb for the local scrappers. Like I said, a couple of them are handicapped. They're old, and you know, they depend on scrap metal to make their living, so it's really too bad. They have to work twice as hard to make half the money, basically. And yeah, everybody's hurting. It's the yards are getting hurt by it. Nice clean of aluminum. I will put this in with old sheet because that's what the yard's going to pay me. I will argue forever that this is extruded aluminum. And they'll say, no, we're only paying old sheet. Well, you know what, for a couple of cents, I'm really not going to argue because I'm not going to win. So don't pick a fight you can't win. You can smash this apart if you so choose. There is a copper motor in here. I have a bucket of these downstairs. If I get around to it someday and I feel like doing it, yeah, I might, but right now, yeah, not really. Now, according to Shark Scrapper, he says if there's a bent arm like this, that you might have an I-core under there. Drum roll, please. Brrr, bum, bum. Make sure I get this back down on the towel. I don't want to squash my table. I7 4796. Oh, son of a gun. I'm going to have to look that up to see if that's one that Board Sort will purchase. They have a test and buy program. I know pretty much this is another i7 I recovered yesterday. I do know that anything i3 and before they have listed as just scrap. So if I can make a few extra bucks, I make a few extra bucks. If I don't, well, it gets scrapped. Okay, now to get at the slot cards, slot processors, gaming cards, graphics cards, whatever happens to be there, internet cards, there's usually some type of a handle. Turn this around like so, and in this case it's right here. Pop that out, and this should lift up, and I should be able to get the card out without too much fuss. Voila! Now, if I were to sell this just like this, this would be a Goldfinger card. It goes into a slot like a gaming card. So it'd be a Goldfinger card with bracket and with heatsink. I'm going to take the time to clean it up because I will get paid much better. And with e-scrap in the condition it's in right now, yeah, you want to maximize your value. And it really doesn't take very long to get the bracket off. Sometimes there's screws right here, but in this case it's got these little guys, and they're pretty easy to just get off. This can go in the computer, it'll stay a shred. This can go into the screw bucket. Again, I just really put small things. I don't want the screws all over my driveway or all over my floor or all over my house. So this one is going to be, I'm going to unscrew this guy. This is a nice board. I don't resell them, and the other reason is somebody scrapped the computer for a reason. Is it broken? I don't know. Can it be parts be salvaged? I don't know. I got it for scrap. I'm going to scrap it. I don't have the means to test some of these gaming cards, but in all honesty, most of your gaming computers anyway are AMD motherboards. This is a Dell. I'll take that back. I've seen a fair number of Dell gaming computers. Alienware, I think it is, the Alienware computers. But the thing is these gaming chips get faster and faster and faster and faster. Now everybody wants NVIDIA, and so they're not going to want them. Is my point. So this is an unknown brand. I don't know what it is. So now it's clean. This goes a Goldfinger card, no bracket, no heatsink, and I'll put that in my bin to ship out to my board buyer. I'm going to get a piece of clean aluminum off of here. Break the plastic off. Yeah, I'll have to take a hammer later and smash that off of there so it'll be clean. But you don't need to watch me do that. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to remove the battery. Very important you do this. They have the option to actually refuse your load if you leave the battery on. I take the batteries to my local dump. They do have a bin for battery recycling. And let's face it, these things are toxic. They're toxic as can be, and we don't want them in the landfill if we can help it. You know, it takes no time at all to just keep a bucket of them and bring them when I go to dispose of my rubbish. Okay. Sometimes you can get a longer adapter for these to get at some of the screws that are way down. It does make life quicker. This is probably my favorite tool right here. It's a long handle Phillips head. Long handle. Just every once in a while you'll get a screw that's just in a spot you can't get at it, and this is the guy to do it. I also have a Torx screwdriver that I picked up yesterday. It's got probably 10 or 15 bits, number 10 Torx, and standard Phillips as well. So this is a good tool. This one I like a little bit better because it's a ratcheting, which is a little bit easier on my hands. But I'm only doing 1 or 2 computers today, so no real need to worry about hand fatigue. We bought a pallet. I didn't buy it, but somebody paid me to remove a pallet of auto parts from their shop. He bought them. He doesn't have the time to deal with it. He basically said, hey, I'll pay you to take this away and you can make money off it. So I did. Me and my big red pickup truck made 10 trips to his shop, and I picked up the whole pallet of auto parts, and I've been going through the ones that I can identify. I've got listed up on eBay. I run a music school, and it tends to be quiet this time of year. We did okay over Christmas with some resale of pre-owned musical instruments and some things that I fixed up and was able to resell. But you know, it's slow, and even when it's slow, the rent doesn't go down, so gotta make some extra money where I can. I usually do this in the morning and then run the school in the afternoon. Okay. There's almost always a screw hiding under the gram slots, so you want to make sure you get that guy off as well. I hope you're able to see this okay. This is going to have to be my setup until I can get popular enough to warrant setting up a Zoom room up in my spare bedroom. That's kind of a long-term goal, but I want to get things rocking before I do that. You do want to take off this little Wi-Fi card. BoardSort does pay for these as well. You can leave it on if you want. It doesn't really matter that much. They weigh nothing. But they do have a little bit of gold fingers on them. So that's a wireless card, a Wi-Fi card. and there's a separate category for those. So you want to make sure you close this up. Some buyers insist that you take this off. Board Store doesn't really mind if it's on there. They're very nice like that. I try to get these brackets off if I can. It's time consuming and everything else, but if they don't mind it being on there, I'm not going to bother. But if they said, hey, we want those taken off, I'll go, okay, and I'll take them off. But again, just adds to the rubbish around the house, and I don't want to do that. Hey, I see something I can take and not worry about getting in trouble for. So here's another Wi-Fi card. That's brass. That's brass. That's brass. And that's brass. I am going to try and get those off. Oh, yes I am. Brass is worth some money. They are soldered on, so we'll get 4 of those. Sometimes you'll also find brass holding the board to the computer case. In this case, there's no brass risers here. But this is a nice little surprise. So we'll get those. There's a lot of nice gold fingers in here. These are the things that the refiners want. The RAM slots have a lot of gold in them. The electrical connectors have a lot of gold. The Wi-Fi connectors have a lot of gold. But that's why they're buying the board from you, to recover the gold. So pinching those things off really doesn't give them what they're paying you for. You know, I mean, snipping something like this off, well, they're not looking really for the brass, they're looking for gold. So this is an okay thing to snip, and you won't always find these. You could nip off this little copper guy if you so chose, but there's you know, I really am not a proponent of depopulating boards. I just feel they pay a pretty decent price for them, and you know, they have a right to expect you to do you to send them what you're saying you're sending them. You to send them what you say you send them. Peter Piper picked the pickle. Never mind. Okay, so that's it. This board is clean. I will send it off to my board buyer, and that's probably it for today. I think there's more computers downstairs, but it's warm enough today that I can actually head outside, so I'm going to head out and do my morning errands, one of which obviously includes going to buy a smoke detector. Take care, all. Signing off for now.